used to be one. There used to be a big one they kept right up there years ago.
All right, everyone. I'd like to call to order the organizational meeting. And the first order of business will be to elect a chairman. Are there any nominations for chairman?
I nominate Tom Fahey for chairman.
I'll second it.
Any other nominations? Tom, how do you feel about this? Do you accept this nomination? Well, oh, you're okay with the nomination? Okay. All right, I'll take a vote on that. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Motion passes unanimously. And hand it over to the chair.
I nominate Mr. Cinto.
Any other nominations? Hearing none? All in favor for Ed Cinto
Aye.
for vice chairman?
Aye.
Opposed? Okay, that takes care of it.
Thank you, gentlemen and ladies.
All right, and so that should wrap up the organizational meeting. Motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn organizational meeting.
Second it? All in favor? Okay.
Aye.
Call to order of the regular meeting. Approval of the minutes of the January 18th special meeting. Has everyone had a chance to look at them? Are there any changes?
Motion to approve the January 18th minutes of the special meeting.
Second? Wait. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Old business. 2022-23, clear cutting inland wetlands, upland review area without a permit. Applicant Willie McAllister is the applicant, or is representative here? I see no one. Kelly, what do we got on this?
The last I heard from Carl Glad, who is Willie's attorney, they are still working on data collection, but they've been working on data collection for almost a year now, and they've been, I think before the commission now, it's been on your agenda for, I want to say 3 months, so I wasn't sure if you guys wanted to entertain a fine at this time, or if you prefer the applicant to be here, but just leave that up to you guys.
Any discussion? Nothing? Well, do you think we should fine him, or do you think we should wait and see if he shows up? Wait another month and see if he shows up, or
Then we
just
just
hit him
have
with a
this
fine now?
Discussion last.
What are your thoughts?
So we just had this discussion, I mean, how long has this been on the agenda? I guess- Because I know you told him a few meetings ago, like, you gotta show up and you gotta tell us what you're doing.
Kel, do you have a time frame here? Did he send in an application for today?
So he sent in an application, I'd have to look at the, at my previous memo, but I want to say it was in December. I'm looking at the November agenda, and it was just done as a violation in the November agenda, not as an application. So at least since November, we've been talking about, I can keep going back while we're talking and look and see if we had it in October, but the commission has not accepted the application because it's quite deficient.
So we can't accept it tonight?
No. I mean, you can. You guys can go however you want to vote,
Yeah,
but I would not recommend it.
I wouldn't recommend.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yep, and it was on the October agenda as well as a violation. So it's been kind of dragging along now.
I mean, it's $1,000. I think maybe we should find.
Wasn't he already fined with the cease and desist order that you?
I gave him a cease and desist, but no fine. I just told him that he had to stop clearing operations.
And did he did it, right?
He did stop, yeah. He has stopped all activities. He is doing some test pits for a septic system, though, which that's allowable without a permit.
I don't know how anyone else feels. I'll defer to the majority, but I just don't feel right finding someone if they're not here.
Yeah, I'd give him a month.
Yeah, I would give him a
I'd give him another month, and then,
Next time, that's it.
I can order him to appear, send him a
Yeah,
letter and order him to appear next month, regardless of whether he has anything. Okay.
Yes, and if he
Yeah,
doesn't, then,
and,
If he doesn't appear next time, I
No.
think then we can fine him.
and you can tell him when you order him to appear,
Yeah,
if you don't show up, you're liable to be fined.
yes,
Right.
he has to be fined at that time.
Okay,
Unless he's planning on revoking his application for some, but
And that's another thing, yeah, that's true.
okay, the other one is,
Hold on.
yeah, we'll probably have to put it on the table.
Motion to table?
Second.
Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you. 2022-9, single-family house, 52 Circle Drive, Protect Home LLC. No one's here.
So last I spoke with Barry Knott, who is the attorney representing, I think his name is Tiago, the applicant. They do not have all of the information that was requested yet, but they have not advised whether they wanted us to have a continuance or not. So the commission can act upon this if they wish, or we can discount this against their statutory timeline and then continue on to next month.
Or we could just table it.
Yeah, we can table it, yep.
I mean, so they haven't been before us with anything yet.
They were before us for acceptance, and the commission accepted this application, but there were just some outstanding questions left.
So if we table it, the clock is still ticking.
Yes.
They also have a fine in question, right?
They do, because they also clear-cut their property without a permit, after I told him not to do it, which was the frustrating part.
Okay.
So,
But they're not here, so, okay.
they aren't. Yes, they did.
I think we may want to consider a fine on that one, too.
I agree.
So what's the statutory timeline? Do we have that?
Yeah, yep, we have that up. I'll bring up my memo. So technically, this is considered the first meeting following the application acceptance. So we have 2 meetings, so at our next meeting, we would have to either decide on the application or it should be already in a public hearing. Or the applicant can also ask for one more continuance.
All right, so if we table it tonight, next meeting, we either got to act on it or send it to a public hearing unless he comes in and asks for a
And has-
continuance.
Right, or, yeah, so if he gives us all the information by then, the commission, if they're comfortable, can act on it.
Okay.
Okay.
You guys want to table it? A motion?
yeah, I'll make a motion to table it.
Second?
No.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
New business, no new business? Staff report, what do you got, Kelly?
So I'm working with Pat Sullivan still on these Lindquist Drive violations. She's been researching how we have never that I can tell, we've never tapped into the performance bonds before, and we don't fully understand what the procedure is, or if there's a statute of limitations, how long you have to wait, how many times do you have to contact the permit holder. So she said she has a memo prepared, but she has not finalized it yet, and then she'll be issuing it to us on how we can proceed in tapping into that performance bond. So that's taken a little bit longer, but this will also guide us. We have probably 15 to 20 outstanding performance bonds that have never been closed.
How much?
We probably have like $200,000 or $300,000 just sitting there from the 90s onward.
Right. And these don't collect interest or anything? This-
No, they do.
Oh, are they?
I mean,
They used to just put the check in the drawer.
oh, no. These actually, they're in a bank account. So they're I mean, it's nominal.
Right.
Whatever,
But they're in
it's a
an
savings
account,
account. Yeah, they're in an account. Yeah, they're not in someone's escrow. For Lindquist Drive, when they asked for the bond back, they actually modified their terms of the permit without a permit modification. So I said, all right, well, it's not a substantial change, so like, let's do a retro, I'll give you a fine because you should have gotten a modification, and we'll retroactively modify your permit. It wasn't a big deal, I didn't think it was a huge deal, and they got into a shouting match with me, and said that they didn't think that's how it should be, and I said, okay. I was like, but I consulted with Pat Sullivan on it because I consult with her on everything. And they just stopped work. So there was some invasive species management that they still had to do, and there was also some monitoring of the plants that they installed that they had to do. And they just left, I think it's $10,000 on the table. And I asked them numerous times what they wanted to do, and they started ignoring me. So I don't know. I know. But some of the older performance bonds are just, we barely have any records on them. They're from like when Bill McCann was in my position, and I don't even have the permit anymore, so I don't even know like what the property half of them belong to. So there's got to be some statute of limitations where the commission could just absolve it, I think, but that's forthcoming.
So on these old bonds, if we can't close them out with the original bondholder, what do we do? Grab the money and it goes to the town?
I would think that would be what we should do. Maybe we can use it for some restoration project.
Well,
or,
my question is,
yeah.
do we grab the money and it goes into the general fund, or do we grab the money and we get to spend it? Well, no, it's different.
Yeah, I mean, I feel like it should go back to this commission. That'd be my.
It should go back to the commission. There's precedent for, from years ago when they tried to take the money from the Waterfront Commission.
Okay.
Actually went to court. And,
But the waterfront commission's organized a little bit differently.
yeah, but I believe, don't we have a fund?
No, we actually don't. From what I understand, though, we do not have access to our permit funds either. I don't know where they go. But Waterfront does, right?
Yeah.
No, waterfront is organized differently.
Yeah, it
under
is.
statute.
It is state, yeah. Well, this is somewhat under state statute, too, this
I
commission.
don't know, just a question.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. More questions arise.
Funds someplace that's making interest?
Yes, yeah, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. Mm-hmm.
quarter of a
think it's-
percent a year or something.
Yeah, I think all the performance bonds are with, what is it, MT&T Bank now? They were
Yeah.
at People's Bank, and now it's MT&T is where they're all held. But yeah, it's quite a bit of money. So more to come on that. We're almost there. And then I also wanted to bring up again, if you folks wanted to form a subcommittee to review the regulations.
But we haven't looked at them in quite a while, correct?
Since January 2012, I think, was the last update, which
So that's
is a long time ago.
11 years.
Yeah, and our economy has changed drastically. Most of our permit fees are barely covering, for administrative permits, they're barely even covering publishing them in the newspaper. Because some of those newspaper articles are $300 to $500, and our cheapest permits are like $300. So we're like losing money. So
Well, the other thing is that absent knocking down a building and reusing the property, almost all the rest of the property left in the town has got some kind of inland wetlands or abuts it or something, ends up before us.
Agreed.
So we probably ought to take a look at it.
Right. And I think, so in that vein, I think the applications are becoming a little bit more contentious because they're a little bit more intense.
Right.
So,
Kelly, did you say some of these performance bonds go back so far?
90s.
They don't know who they belong to?
Some of them, or we have like just partial information, like maybe we have the name of someone, but I have no idea how to contact them or where they work.
I mean, God forbid, some of these applicants that put up the performance bond might not be alive.
Correct. Yeah.
So what is the town, I mean, there's gotta be a,
And that's what Pat was researching for us. And she said she thought there was some legislation that was passed that she thought might be applicable, so I'm not
well, we could.
quite sure.
sounds like
Yeah.
But I won't.
Yeah.
So anyways, on these regulations, would anyone like to serve on that subcommittee?
Did you hear the ultimatum it made him, his wife gave him?
Who?
Yeah, he did tell me he wanted to come, and I was like, oh, well, if you want, you can call in, because he thought he might be driving back
probably
from
will.
New York. And I was like, oh, if you wanted to serve on the subcommittee, let me know, and I'll let them know. But he never got back to me.
Who was
so-
that?
Dr. Chess, yeah.
Okay, so I have a question here. The regulations, does that include the performance bonds and all the fines that we've been talking about?
I think that the we'll have more information on the performance bonds, if there's any like legislation that will guide how that will function in the future. But I do think we should create some sort of procedure so that these don't just linger forever. So that we either give them back, or we identify that the applicant is not going to comply, and we take the money and do what we're supposed to do with it and act on it.
3 years.
Yeah, give some whatever, but I'm hopeful that the memo that Pat is preparing will help guide some of that. But definitely for the fining and violations, I personally would really like that to be a little more prescriptive, because it's really open for interpretation right now.
Okay. So what are the, like, before anybody says yes or no to this committee, what are the 3 biggest things as far as the town of Stratford regulations that we would have to deal with for this? So it would be the fines, the performance bonds.
Yeah, most of the regulations are actually guided by state statute, and ours are largely not copied and pasted, but we have a lot of the language we just took right from the state statute, which is totally fine. That's actually, we can't override this. We can't override the state anyway. But I think the biggest things we have to look at are like how we handle violations, like a flow chart or something, and then the actual application and violation fee structure, getting that a little more modernized and maybe a little less confusing for applicants. And those were like my main.
Okay, because I'm thinking back to the meeting where the attorney for River Road for that gas station they want to was like in here saying, well, we're blaming the building department and they didn't. So in other words, would that be part of our regulation saying, you know, again, we talked about it at the meeting, you know, did you check with your building supervisor? In other words, did you check all these boxes before we can issue a fine? And like, can they prove that? Would that be something part of the regulations?
I'm not exactly sure, but I think that anything is open for discussion as long as we're not trying to supersede the state statute. And we're gonna, whatever we all talk about, obviously needs to be checked with the town attorney to make sure it makes sense and is legal. So I think whatever.
I mean, because again, I've read enough of this kind of stuff over the years where the confusion comes in because it's all in like legalese, and then they're like, well, it says here this is 1,000, and then the next paragraph says 250. So in other words, I mean, again, I know that's the way the state statutes are, but could we just make like and again, this would be more a question for Attorney Sullivan. Could we just make a checklist saying, okay, when we're looking at violations, these are the criteria, and you meet all the criteria for the violations, check, 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 equals, okay, you haven't shown up at the meeting for 6 months after the application, and blah, 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 blah.
So just kind of having a prescriptive formula that takes out some of the potential bias or anything like that, yeah.
So we can't have somebody here saying, well, the building department didn't. What do I care about the building department? I'm sitting here about inland wetlands.
Yeah, that was a really poor argument.
So, but again, it would just take some of the onus off of, you know, somebody's gonna turn around and blame another department.
Right.
And I'm like, well, I have nothing to, I wouldn't know the building department if they walked in front of me right now, kind of thing.
And it's not this commission's like role to know that or care. I don't know. I don't want to say not care, but if you're applying for permits, you have to make sure that you get all of your necessary permits. It's not. We're not
Our
just.
job is not to go out and make sure you.
Yeah, our job is not to go out. But I will say that there is a condition and when I issue permits, it does say that you need to make sure that you get all the permits that you need. And if you do start work and say, we find out that you started work without your planning's commission's approval, then your permit is not valid.
Well, is that something, again, we could do in the regulations to kind of take the onus off of you and maybe save some arguments, is saying, here's the checklist, here's what the regulations say, here are all the permits from all the departments that you need before you can proceed. So in other words, you have something to back you up saying, inland wetlands says you have to have all these before, or if you don't have one of these, I can come out and fine you.
Yeah, I think that could be made more clear in the regulations.
Okay.
At least it should be proposed. And then if Attorney Sullivan reviews it and it doesn't make sense, then we can rework it.
Okay.
I think that's fine.
All right.
So are you volunteering to head this?
I'll help and see.
Anyone else?
I thought Dr. Chess wanted to head it up. Didn't he say that?
I thought that he was interested, but he is not here.
I know Joe said he would.
Yeah, I did talk to Joe, and he said that he would be willing to assist. Okay. And really, the subcommittee is the one that's just, we're really looking at it in depth, but I think all members of the commission are free and welcome and should review them and make comments.
Well, like we have subcommittees in waterfront, and they'll bring it to the whole commission, then we'd vote on it if we wanted it, you know,
Right.
obviously, or make a change.
Yeah.
And so my
All
other
right.
question on that is, like, if we meet, do we have to file an agenda with the town clerk ahead of time? Do we have to establish meeting dates?
I think we kept it at 3, right? And our quorum is 4?
Right.
That's what we
Yeah.
did for the regular,
You do not have to file an agenda.
yeah, if there's no quorum, then there's no official meeting.
Okay.
And the quorum is 4 for this commission, so if we keep
Well,
the
okay, so
subcommittee
if
for,
that's the case,
if we
we have
keep-
1, 2, and Joe,
yeah,
that's 3, Chet's is out, because he would,
okay.
or just move them in and out, whatever.
Right,
Just
right.
keep it 3. That's-
Yeah, as long as we keep it at 3, like, if you guys wanna
Right.
hop in and out of it, I think
Yeah,
Right.
that's
the
good.
more that input that we get, I think, from different perspectives will help the regulations, in my opinion. And there's no deadline on this. I'm just pushing this on you guys, because I think they need to be updated.
Well, no, just get started, anyway.
Yeah, at least like to start the process, and if we have questions we need to bring, I
mean,
can
at
make
least-
sure Pat comes to a meeting if we want to talk
You-
about
you come
some
back to the meeting and
items,
say,
yeah.
Look, here's something that makes no sense at all.
Yeah.
Okay.
Um,
Kelly,
That's good, we'll do
Okay.
that.
I have a question. When you issue a permit, how long does it normally take for that permit to be issued? Is it, if somebody comes in and applies for a permit, are they going to get it the same day, or do they usually, is there a time span before they can officially get the permit?
For an administrative permit or a permit before the commission?
I was just going to say in general.
Okay, so for the administrative permits, I usually process them on like a rolling basis, so I won't say like, oh, I'm only accepting them at this period of time, and so whenever I have time, I try and get them out within 2 weeks maximum, but sometimes within the same week, I'll try and get them out. If someone happens to submit one while I'm working on another one, sometimes I'll do 2 at once. But I try and get the administrative ones turned around. They're not as onerous to write as the full permits that come before you folks. And then there is and on all permits, there's a 15-day appeal period, so they have to, I have to post it in the Connecticut Post that their permit was approved or denied, either way. And then there's a 15-day appeal period where that permit holder cannot actually move on that permit until that 15-day period has ended, in case someone sees it and wants to appeal it. And in the case of an administrative application, if someone appeals it, then I bring it before you guys, and it turns kind of into a full permit application at that point. Does that make sense?
Right, so once the permit is, let's say, ready to be approved, okay, you posted it in the paper, is there anybody else down the line that has to look at that permit to say it's good, or once you issue it, nobody else has to look at it?
Well, I mean, no one else in the town?
Yeah, in other words, is there another commission within,
I see what you're saying. It depends on the nature of the permit. So say someone wanted to put a shed up within the open review area. That's something I would issue as an administrative permit. It's like $200 fee. But say it's within 50 feet of a wetland, that would trigger the need for a zoning variance. So they'd have to go before zoning board of appeals, and it would trigger a whole nother thing with zoning. But so sometimes if I see things that some of the zoning regs, I know some of them, I'll kick it over to zoning and just make them aware of it. But it's not my. But I guess it's not my role to make sure that they go before zoning. I'm just inland wetlands. Yeah.
if you kick it over to zoning, now zoning is sitting on it, now you gotta wait for zoning to do whatever they have to do.
Right, so so the permit holder, even if the permit is technically valid within the wetlands, if they if they don't have all of their other necessary permits with the town, then that permit is technically not valid. If that makes sense.
They could be sitting on it for months.
Oh, yeah, yeah, yep. And administrative permits are only valid for 2 years, whereas the permits that you all are voting on are 5-year permits, unless you tell me otherwise, which we have done.
That it?
Yeah. Oh, and then I issued one permit, or 2 permits, since we last met. 2023-2A, a septic system repairs within the open review area at 945 Beaver Dam Road, and 2023-3A, replacement of a front porch at 1185 Cut Spring Road. That's all I have.
Commissioners Forum, anybody got anything?
I have a question.
What?
Kelly, like we talked about last night at the conservation meeting with the classes, the requirements.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I'm glad you brought that up. Do you want to, you can say it if you want.
Okay. Nobody's going, no, we were discussing last night at conservation, because again, this is a commission, and the classes, the clear classes, right? I'm not confusing them with anything else. In other words, making them a requirement if you want to be on the commission.
Yeah, so remember I've sent out the municipal inland wetlands comprehensive training thing online that you guys can do? There's I guess it's a bill before someone, the Environment Committee, I think, or they're considering one where if you guys want to serve on this committee or commission, you have to go through that training.
It's really easy.
What is, and Joe Gresco, he's the chair of the Environment Committee, and he was sitting in a Conservation Commission last night, and he just wanted to, purely out of curiosity, what do you guys think about that? Would that make you not want to serve on the commission? Would it make you want to serve on it more? Are you indifferent? And there's no right or wrong answer, because that's not a law, so, yeah. Okay. Okay, yeah. Okay.
I mean, the concern we were talking about is this would, again, it's hard enough to get people on commissions. It would scare people off. But again, I mean, I agree. Kind of need to know
Well-
what you're talking about.
That depends on what the training is. If you tell somebody you got to take 8 months of 3 nights a week,
Oh, no.
the guy's going to say, forget it.
It's a,
You know, an hour.
yeah, it's a pretty, I thought
Yeah,
it was a pretty, I went through the training too, because so at least one person on the commission does have to have it, whether it's staff or not. And I thought it was pretty easy and
Yeah.
user-friendly, and you could save it and come back and
And, yeah.
watch some videos. And they teach you how to read site plans and just tricky situations you might run into. It's not like, yeah, you can do it, it's free, you can do it anytime you want.
It's
I forgot how many hours it took. It wasn't that crazy.
like 4 hours,
Yeah.
6 hours.
Okay.
And UConn, and we'll see when you log in, they have other trainings similar to that one. Like they had like the deep aquifer. I'm still eyeing that one. But there are other trainings, again, that are available.
Yeah, I think I sent that to this commission, right? I sent you guys that email of the land use trainings, yeah, okay. Okay, I'll let him know that your input, thank you. That is helpful.
Anything else?
Just, did you get a chance to reach out to Caltech? You did?
I did forget to talk to you about that. So, I reached out to Caltech, but they haven't gotten back to me, but I reached out to another company. It's like Connecticut Stormwater, and they are interested. They would like to come and talk to you guys about at least the maintenance aspect, which I think is like the part that we mostly care about. That we're just coordinating the date and time. I told them that we would prefer them to come at 7 and we could put them at the top of the agenda. But I guess the caveat is they want to use that for marketing, so they want to record themselves doing it. And I was like, I'll double check with the powers that be here to make sure that's not an issue, but I don't see why that would be an issue. Yeah, we already are being recorded, so I'm not sure how that's too much.
And I'm sure we're not the only commission that wants to learn about how they're going to maintain it. It would probably be good if they have this out there.
I think so.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, I
That's
thought
the
this-
main question about all of that stuff.
Yeah, I thought that was a
Maintenance.
really good point that Joe kind of
Yep.
stirred this up, so. So yeah, I haven't heard back from Coltech themselves though, but I think that I would almost prefer to hear from the maintenance folks anyway, but even,
Definitely.
I'd prefer to hear from both, honestly. So we're hoping for March, that next month that they'll come, so. Worst case scenario, if the 7 o'clock doesn't work, and I'll try and coordinate a time that would work for the majority of you guys, so.
Like 5 o'clock or something.
I don't know, I'm not sure. We'll see. I'm waiting for them to get back to me, so. They said they didn't think it'd be an issue to come at 7. So.
Caltech sales thing was like, I don't remember, it was like Saturday, like luncheons or breakfast type,
Yeah, they said they had lunch and learns like during the work, yeah, during the like traditional work day, but I asked them if they could come after, but they just never, I did feel like an online forum. I'm just gonna call them because I don't think they're gonna get back to us. Yeah, so, but yeah, thanks for bringing that up because I did want to update you guys on that. Yeah.
Like to make a motion to adjourn?
Motion to adjourn, a second?
Second?
Second, Cinto, all in favor? Thank you.